the skyline. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on our top layer and our skyline. Okay, and we are going to make a new layer. And we're going to call it stars. We're going to go to about the timeline where stars would start showing up in the sky. So I'm not going to do it when it gets really dark. I'm going to start it a little bit before that sun totally sets. And I'm going to click on that layer, make sure everything else is locked. Click on our stars, and I'm going to insert a keyframe. Okay, so there's nothing on that layer right now. I'm going to change my color to white, and for this one I'm going to use, if you don't have these brushes in, you can click on these three dots and you can find them over here, and all you do is just drag and drop them onto your palette and they get added in. And you can rearrange your palette any way you want. So I'm going to, let's see, I'll use the fluid brush tool and check out your properties here. It says that my size is 3. And that's the angle. I want my angle a little bit lower. We're definitely going to work with pressure. And let's see how this works. So let's just make a couple of stars. Click on object. Yeah. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I don't want it too big, but I just want to click and get a star. All right, this one's not working well. Let's switch tools. Let's go to our classic brush tool. That was the one I wanted, yes. So we're going to start adding some stars. And that looks actually like a pretty good size. That's size 4. Don't forget to put it into areas where, you know, some can be closer, some can be a little further away. You can double up some stars. Okay, so that's going to be there. Now you can see if yours don't have, if yours didn't end here, it should have ended here. Your actual frame for that. It should be at 300 because most of the other frames are at 300, so as default it'll do that. So now we're going to create our mask, and I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it, has to be on top of your stars mask, your stars layer. I'm going to call it stars mask. Okay. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. You can change your thing here. You have measurements, or you can type in a number. I'm going to make it 75. I'm going to enter a keyframe at the same place where I started my other keyframe. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to insert keyframe there. And I'm going to just make a rectangle. And it's not going to be on screen yet. It's going to just be at the very top of the screen. I'm just going to make a very thin rectangle. Okay. And then I'm going to figure out where I want my stars to be completely exposed. Let's say 180. And I'm going to insert a keyframe here. I'm going to use my transform tool, and I'm going to pull down so that my mask covers my skyline, or this rectangle covers my skyline. Okay. After you've done that, click back on Star Mask. And for this one, you are going to right click on the word Star Mask, and then there's the word Mask, and you click that. So what is going to happen is when we hit play, the stars are slowly going to show up. And you can see this mask happen. When I hit Star Mask, when I hit the word mask, stars became indented. So it is now controlled by this star mask. So let's hit play and see what happens. I did one thing wrong. Miss Liemer-Kelly forgot to control click and add a shape tween in between. So let's try this again. And you can see the stars are slowly appearing because the mask is moving slow. If you want this to go even slower, you could take your keyframe and you could drag it by clicking. Usually does it easier than this. There it goes. And you could drag it, and then they'll slowly appear. If you want it to be faster, you put your keyframe here, and they'll faster appear. I just like where it is right now, so I'm going to leave it. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our buildings. We're going to add some windows in our building. So I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call them, I'll just call them windows. Okay, and I'm going to use my rectangle tool for this. I'm going to make my windows like a light yellow, and I'm going to hold down shift so I can only make squares. I'm going to make a few building lights. You can rearrange all these after you make them. Like you can click and make that size a little bit different just by going to your transformation so that it is almost the same size. And then what I did in my other video, I'm having problems now, I actually copied and pasted these. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to move it a little bit with my arrows. I'm going to hold down shift. So both of them are now selected. Hold down option and drag just like you do in Photoshop to create windows. Now you can make your windows any size you want. That building looked weird with 2 windows, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these windows, and then I'm going to show you, I can just select 1 window, and I can also delete some of these windows just by like selecting on them. Like not every building is showing a window, and that's fine too. So I'm just going to make one singular window here. I'm going to bring one here, just a couple windows. Try to line them up. You notice that those guides are showing up. So try to use those guides to your advantage and work with them. So they're there for a reason. They're helping you create straight lines and straight alignment. And now this one, I'm just going to move this one, and then I'm going to shift click all these and hold down option, and look, I can move that. And I don't like that one, so I'm going to click off, click on, delete. So shift and option are key in making your life easier for making all these windows. Okay, so just like we do with the stars, we're going to create a mask for our windows. So we have our stars coming in, and now we're going to turn on the lights, but we're going to turn them on a little bit slowly because not everybody gets home at the same time. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call it Window Mask. I'm going to use my rectangle tool. And it doesn't matter because it's a mask, doesn't really matter what color it is, but I'm going to leave it white because I did that for my others. I'm going to make a small rectangle at the top. And then I'm going to go to like frame 240. I'm going to add in a keyframe, and then I'm going to use my transformation tool, and I'm going to pull it down so it covers my windows. Click any frame in between, create a shape tween, and then the last thing you do is right click or control click on the word window mask and go to the word mask. Okay, so now when that happens, we've got our sun setting, our grass turning green, our stars will soon arrive in the sky, and our lights will appear on our buildings. And then we're going to do a few more fun things that happen here. Okay, that's the end of part 2.